yeah. I was just going to say, I'm not familiar with some of the fathers of modern Afro-pessimism that Dominick described, but I did kind of come to that in a roundabout way. Are you familiar with some of the work of
Uh,
Neely Fuller Jr., Dominick?
I honestly I can't say that I am.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Um, a lot of what he discusses is kind of touching on what you just described. Is he says that because of the relationship between non-white people and white people is so imbalanced, so unjust, that at best you can have only a tragic arrangement. And how he notes the tragic arrangement is like this: it's tacky, trashy, and terroristic. So at best, in the system that we have right now, the best that you can get in that arrangement is tacky. Then it moves to trashy, and then from trashy it goes to terroristic, which you just kind of described as when you talked about fetishization of black males or whatnot, or even black women, and then you talk about I feel threatened by this guy, so I want to kill him. That's the terroristic aspect of it. And then the I can never get that damn word out correctly. Fetish,
Fetishization.
there you go. Of black bodies is also, innately tacky and trashy, right? So that automatically puts you in a framework of pessimism right there. If you come to the situation and you determine that it's already at best tacky and at worst terroristic, there's not much hope right there, right?
And you know what's weird? I feel like a lot of people, a lot of black people are happy with the tacky and the trashy because at least it's not being at least not being terrorized.
Yes.
So I think a lot of us get to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? Sure, when I go out and I'm dealing with white people, a lot of it can be kind of tacky or I think it's good to actually describe what Neely Fuller means by tacky, trashy, and terroristic. And
Yes.
Neely Fuller has a lot of overlap with Frantz Fanon to the
Absolutely.
point where I don't know if he read Fanon or he came about it independently because he's really old. He's like 80 something years old now. So maybe he came across it
Yeah, I'll definitely
independently.
have to
But
check it
Dominic, I think you'd be
out.
pretty interested in Neely Fuller. He has a lot of the state. But the
Absolutely.
tacky thing is, yeah, the tacky thing is, for example, if I, as a black person, go to a bar and then white people start asking me dumb questions, like, for example, they start using ebonics with me, they'll be like, "Yo, homie," and it's like, okay, I know you don't talk. I know you don't talk like that. I know if I was white, you would not be saying that right now, you know.
Or
And
this.
then like,
Oh, go ahead, T. I'm sorry.
no, no, it's like, or they give you like some kind of like exaggerated pound that that I guess they think is going to show the extra down. Like that's what Neely Fuller talks about with the whole tacky thing in Get Out when he's at that
Oh, that's a great analogy.
garden party.
Use that.
Yeah, that garden party, the way everyone is saying something that's either like that's a perfect example of tacky and or trashy. Like the woman who was now you got me forgetting how to say it. Fetishizing whatever Chris, she's like, is it true? And she's like squeezing his muscles and
She
she's
took it
asking
into
about sex
trash.
with a black man. Yeah, that's trashy. And then when the
Whenever it
guy is
gets
talking
sexual,
about, hey, yeah,
whenever it
she's
gets
talking about gutter sex
thing, it gets into the trashy aspect of the
to the
relationship.
trashy part. And when the guy was saying, oh, black is in style, white was in style, but now like that's tacky,
Right.
And then
Yeah.
by the end of the movie, it becomes terroristic.
So just to kind of really quick to kind of touch on what T was expound on what T had said. To look at it in real life examples, when they want to touch black women's hair, right? That's tacky. Or
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
right. I'll give you another example. I used to do Uber, and I picked up a couple of guys from San Diego, a couple of Caucasian guys, and from San Diego, and they asked me, "Hey, is Compton really like how they talk about it in the music?"
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm not from Compton. I really don't know. So it's that kind of
That
thing.
is
And I
that's a
think
perfect example of tag.
yeah, right. I think that every black person, to one degree or another, has to deal with this system in one of those three. It's always in one of those three modes, if that makes any sense.
Oh, I agree, and I feel like a lot of people get satisfied with the tacky and trashy because they're just so happy to not being terrorized. So a lot of people, they're happy being the mascot of their white group. Like, I
Very.
have this group of white friends, but I'm like a mascot here, and
Comic relief.
yeah, I'm comic relief. But I mean, and I always say white attention, white validation is very addictive, and I think like we get high off of it
Well,
sometimes. There's that too, even if it's tacky
going
and
along with
trashy.
what you guys are talking about, one of the more interesting concepts in Afro-Pessimism is understanding that blackness is slaveness, and it creates this being, and I believe it's Wilderson calls it being for the captor. So like your entire being is situated towards the captor. So for example, to use an example would be how excited people were about, not to beat a dead horse, but how excited people were excited about Hamilton, for example. It's so that's a perfect example to me of you're excited because you're satisfying your captors. You're dancing, you're validating their history, or you see it even
Yes.
in the woke circles where there's that one black person who educates the white people around them, and there's a sense of self-satisfaction because they feel like I've helped this white person realize the error of their ways. And really what you're doing is almost like uh you're trying to help your master, basically.
Mm.
Yes, yes, and it reinforces the master slave relationship in its own way. That dynamic by you're existing to help this person become
Right. And
a better person.
there's one point where I see, and this might be far out there, but there's one point I see where that stuff like actually like breaks down, and that's when you touch upon a third rail of, say, gentrification, right? And you talk to liberal white people and they're woke and they know all the terms, and you're like, but you're here. You're actually contributing to this. Like, you shouldn't be here. And that's when stuff actually breaks down. When you actually say, you shouldn't be here, like, you being here creates misery. That's when that liberal mask falls off, and it goes back to this idea of like, well, I can't help it, and so on and so forth. But they feel like they can help black people by, I don't know, buying $2,000 tickets from Hamilton or some such shit.